Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is one of the most beloved stories ever told, with constant parodies, homages, fan-made works, whatnot, much like Wizard of Oz or Alice in Wonderland. Unlike those two, it did get an Iceberg chart, but I didn't really like them, so I made my own again. Top of the chart, even your grandpa knows. Bottom of the chart, maybe you don't. Tier 1. Willy Wonka and Charlie, very softball entries, but it's tier 1. Willy Wonka is the eccentric candy maker behind a factory that makes the world a little bit better. And Charlie Bucket is the main kid who might be as poor as dirt, but his heart is great as gold. The book. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is based on a book, 1971 film, 2005 film, and Wonka 2023. The most recognizable parts of the franchise, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is one of the most beloved movies ever made, and I think everyone except for one notable exception loves this film. Unlike Wizard of Oz, it isn't as beloved, so it did get several remakes, like in 2005 by Tim Burton, and the 2023 prequel. The Wonka actors in all of them are Gene Wilder, Johnny Depp, and Timothée Chalamet. The other two are great actors, but they can't hold a candle to Gene Wilder's performance. Having this sophisticated but still eccentric and bizarre take on the character just perfectly captures what he needs to be. While Johnny Depp makes him a tad bit weirder, which we'll get to later. And Timothée Chalamet, he is a great actor, but for whatever reason, he just doesn't really have the sauce in this film. It kind of feels almost like a Nickelodeon movie. And he does look a lot like 2005 Charlie, which probably would have been a better film if it was about Charlie trying to live up to Wonka's legacy. Also, he's dressed like Grover from Muppet's Christmas Carol. Naughty Kids, this refers to the other kids that went with Charlie through the Chocolate Factory. Augustus Gloop, the glutton from Germany. Violet Beauregard, an obnoxious gum chewer. Veruca Salt, a rich brat. And Mike TV, a little brain rot kid. Honestly, I think their best adaptation is the 2005 film. Well, Augustus is basically the same. But I like the adaptation of the others, like Violet being the daughter of this overachieving Karen who's trying to push her daughter to do all this crap and live vicariously through her. Her and Veruca, who are already pretty similar characters, becoming friends. And just Mike in general being this kind of snarky kid and also more into violent video games than just TV brain rot. Which just kind of makes the author seem like an old man, like, these kids today watch too much TV, in the same way parents today are like, these kids spend too much time on the internet. Golden ticket, of course, famously, if you find a golden ticket within a Wonka chocolate bar, you get to go to the factory. Real Candy Company and Nerds. From 1971 to 2018, there was a real Willy Wonka factory, or at least brand of candy, producing a bunch of recognizable candy, most famously Nerds, which are like little almost circle sugar pellets. The Candyman can. The first song sung in the original 71 film is the most famous of all the songs in the film, having several covers appearing in several other films. Memes. There's several memes associated with Willy Wonka, but the most famous is the side photo, this frame from the 71 film, that you have definitely seen before. It became like one of the main meme templates for a while in the early 2010s. Everlasting Gobstopper. A major plot point in the 71 film is Wonka basically wanted to cure hunger with this little everlasting gobstopper. And Slugworth tempted all the kids to try and get one so he can recreate it. In the original film, it's this kind of weird, like, big jack kind of paperweight. It was turned into a real candy with less great effect and is just a bunch of tiny jawbreakers, which is what the UK calls a jawbreaker. A gobstopper. Oompa Loompas. The Oompa Loompas are Wonka's little helpers that he's rescued from their terrible homeland so they can help him make candy. Chocolate Factory and the Chocolate River. Of course, the most recognizable thing in the franchise is Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, the magical world that makes all the great candy. And the most prominent location is the Chocolate River in like the showroom of all the candy, especially the waterfall. In the original 71 film, that is real chocolate. It looks kind of wrong because it was mixed with milk, which curdled, and now it's this kind of gross color. The tunnel. The visitors take a boat ride through the Chocolate River and go through a tunnel. In the 71 film, this is one of the most trippy and scary scenes ever, especially for a kid's film. The boat accelerates into the tunnel, which starts having this whole kaleidoscope, trippy, even Violet calls it out as a freakout. We see all these horrifying images, some animal cruelty, and Wonka starts singing this disturbing song.
Are the fires of hell a-glowing? Is the grisly reaper mowing? Yes! The danger must be growing, for the rowers keep on rowing!
But then suddenly it just ends, and we move on. We don't talk about this ever again. Making this the definition of a big-lipped alligator moment. A big-lipped alligator moment, for those who don't know, early 2010s movie critic terms, named after the big-lipped alligator from All Dogs Go to Heaven, refers to a scene in a film or show or whatever that just comes right out of nowhere, it's super over the top, and it ends just about as fastly as it comes out of nowhere. Tier 2. Wonkamobile. In the 71 film, it's this big steampunk car thing running on soda, and it sprays foam all over everyone, just for them to instantly get clean. I don't know why, but it feels like this scene was cut for time when airing on TV. Am I wrong, or... Smilex. Unlike 71 Charlie, 2005 Charlie still has his dad. He had a job screwing the caps on toothpaste until his job was outsourced to robots. Smilex is a callback by Tim Burton to his 89 Batman film, being where Joker Venom comes from. It might explain where 71 Charlie's dad went. Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl is the author of the original book, as well as several other familiar popular children's stories like The Witches, The BFG, and Matilda. Hugh Grant controversy. Hugh Grant, who played Oompa Loompa in Wonka 2023, was very controversial of a choice. Little people actors didn't like that they just shrunk down a normal-sized actor and gave him a big forehead. Hugh Grant himself didn't like the role and apparently doesn't even like acting, so I don't even know why he did it. Broadway, referring to the Broadway production of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Scrumdiddlyumptious. A scrumdiddlyumptious bar is seen in the 71 film, and scrumdiddlyumptious is also a word invented by the BFG, not to be confused with the gun from Doom. This is Big Friendly Giant. Tom and Jerry. There's that weird period of time where Tom and Jerry just kind of like Lion King 2.5 and Timon and Pumbaa wandered around the original film before they showed up. Like with Tom and Jerry and The Wizard of Oz and Sherlock Holmes. But this is the most infamous of them, basically because it was called out by a nostalgia critic for it having very, very exaggerated faces and oddly expanding the role of Slugworth to be the main villain and breaking into the factory and going after Tom and Jerry and even having his own villain song with I Want the Whole World, which Veruca still sings later, which is kind of weird. And definitely weird because they still do the same twist that he's Mr. Wilkinson and works with Wonka. But you do get the tunnel scene recreated, and Tuffy does sing the song, including The Fires of Hell, an unrated kids film from like 2017.
The fires of hell are glowing? Is the grisly reaper mowing?
Gene came up with a somersault. In the 71 film, Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka is introduced, walking out with a cane, just for her to get stuck, and he does a somersault. This was Gene Wilder's idea and his condition to do the role, to do this introduction scene, to make the audience kind of upset that, oh, he's just this feeble old man, just for him to do a somersault, to keep the audience thinking, what could this guy do next? Deep Roy. Deep Roy is a little person from Kenya. Other than a small role as a border guard in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, he's most widely known for being in 2005 film as an Oompa Loompa. All of them. And there's hundreds of them, and all of them move a little bit different, thanks to a lot of movie magic and some puppets.
Trying to get all of those things so that if we cut between the animatronics and we cut between the real Deep Roy, that you wouldn't hopefully see a jolt. And if those things were right, then the audience would enjoy it, just be more interested in the storytelling rather than the effect.
It's definitely impressive, and I appreciate the hard work, but it also feels a little bit weird that they can only get one little person actor when the 71 film got 10 in Germany after the whole very naughty shower incident. Rigged theory?
Notice in the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka most likely knew the location of every single golden ticket. Every single time a golden ticket is won right after Slugworth comes and tries to bribe the winner into giving an everlasting gobstopper to Willy Wonka's competition. At the end of the movie, Slugworth is revealed to be working for Willy Wonka, so this entirely could be true. So it is entirely possible Willy Wonka knew the time as well as the location of every single winner. He could have also placed the tickets as well, and this was going to happen in an early script. Wonka was somehow going to know Charlie Bucket, his struggles, and what he went through, and knew that he would have been a perfect fit for the factory. So he would have strategically placed the golden ticket in the chocolate bar that Charlie was going to buy somehow, but they saw this as too problematic and removed it from the movie, and I'm glad they did.
Serial killer theory? Unlike the 2005 film and the original book, we never actually saw the naughty kids leave the factory at the end of the 71 film, leading to a lot of people jokingly assuming that Wonka purposely killed the kids and possibly used them in the candy. Notably used in the terrible parody movie, Epic Movie. What a waste of Crispin Glover. Inflation. Violet being blown up like a balloon is very popular in very strange art places online. The side photo is a nerd. Next tier. Great Glass Elevator. We all know the ending of the story where Wonka, Charlie, and Grandpa Joe fly off in the crazy elevator. But what a lot of people don't really know is there's an actual sequel to the book, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. It has never been adapted. Laffy Taffy Puzzle Game. Like every franchise, there are a bunch of online games related to it, and Laffy Taffy Puzzle Game refers to a now kind of lost game related to Wonka. Fizzy lifting drink, not in the book. The soda that made Charlie and Grandpa Joe float until they almost got caught up in a fan until they burped, was not in the book, which feels really weird because it adds so much to the story. Like at the end of the 71 film where Wonka blows up at Charlie for stealing the soda. You get nothing! Good day, sir! But Charlie, being a nice soul, gives back the everlasting gobstopper. His family definitely could have used the bribe money Slugworth was offering, but he gives it back because he actually cares. Which is ultimately why Charlie wins, because he does have a sense of morality and cares about what's going on with people, and not just in it for the money. But in the book, 2005 film, Charlie just gets the factory because he's the last kid standing, which I guess would have been awkward if there was 5 kids left. Tuba Nerds cane. Johnny Depp's Wonka cane is actually a big Tuba Nerds, which is a really cute detail. Peter Ostrom is the name of the actor who played Charlie in the 71 film. Unlike Freddie Highmore, who continued acting and became Norman Bates in the Bates Motel, Peter retired from acting after the film. Kind of crazy to think the most recognizable kid in movies didn't really go on to anything in film. Sammy Davis Jr., also the side photo. In the 71 film, he really wanted to play the Candyman. Not Wonka, but the guy in the beginning selling the candy, and he really liked the Candyman song. But he was rejected because they didn't want him upstaging Gene Wilder. So a year later, Sammy made his own cover of the Candyman song.
The Candyman can, 'cause he mixes it with love and makes the world taste good.
It became Sammy's sadly only #1 hit, spending 3 weeks at the top of the Billboard Top 100. It was named the 5th best song of 1972. The golden tickets weren't randomly sent. I kind of mentioned this with that video I shared about the rigged theory. Name changed because of Vietnam. The original book is called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The same with the 2005 film. But the 71 film is called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. A popular theory as to why the name change was because Charlie was what people referred to Viet Cong warriors during the Vietnam War. In reality, it's because they just wanted brand recognition with the upcoming Willy Wonka candy by Quaker and later Nestle. And speaking about Nestle, Oompa Loompa slaves. This is already a pretty common joke that the Oompa Loompas are Wonka slaves, but in the original book, it was kind of actually because they were black African pygmies that were taken from their homeland by a white business owner. Later printings of the books whitewashed them and gave them blonde hair. And famously, the 71 film made them orange with green hair and white eyebrows, to try and make them more fantastical. The Willy Wonka Experience and the Unknown, the side photo. So recently, there was the Willy Wonka Experience in Glasgow. This Scottish event was advertised with AI images. The real thing, after a £35 or $45 US entrance fee, you got to see what looked like a bunch of props they stole from a mini golf course in a small, sad, sketchy warehouse where everyone got 1 or 2 jelly beans and a half a cup of store-brand lemonade, with actors who are also given an AI-generated script that was so bad they just gave up after 15 minutes and tried to make the best of everything. At least they had a bouncy castle. But this modern DashCon did give us one interesting thing. The Unknown, an evil chocolate maker who lives in the walls and makes a kid actually cry.
It's the Unknown!
So because I'm funny, I decided to make an Unknown miniature. Terrible, but so does the actual Willy Wonka Experience in Glasgow. But who is the Unknown?
It's clear that maybe he was the biggest person scammed of them all.
The Unknown is an evil chocolate maker who lives in the walls. What? What is an evil chocolate maker for a start? Does he make evil chocolate, or is he an evil man who makes chocolate? And what do you mean he lives in the walls?
I don't know, let's say the Unknown, we all like tragic villains. Let's say the Unknown is just like a poor guy who wants to make chocolate, but he can't afford cocoa imports or a factory or anything. So he sneaks into Willy Wonka's factory to steal candy and resell it. Maybe that's the reason why he closed down.
And what do you mean he lives in the walls?
Well, there's like back rooms the Oompa Loompas walk around in. So the Unknown probably sneaks around in the backstage areas of the factory like the Phantom of the Opera. But Wonka gets the golden ticket winners to try and help him get rid of the Unknown.
The suit, flavor, theme, full of scary face. Oh my God. Scare the great unknown. Wonderful. I love your fantastic. Please, vote the scary face of the great unknown.
It's an everlasting gobstopper.
What was that?
Why did he do that?
I don't know, what do you guys think? You think this is just a dumb meme, or is there something to talk about here? Wonka Watch. Wonka Watch is a podcast that I've never really watched because I don't really like podcasts, but it does feel a little relevant. Real squirrels. In the 2005 film, they did adapt the squirrels from the book rather than replace them with geese. And despite the film being filled with CGI, those are in fact actual squirrels. Veruca is a type of wart. Veruca is named after a type of wart on the bottom of your foot. Speaking about her real knee injury. In the 71 film, the actress scraped up her knee and you can see it in the film. Roald Dahl doesn't like the adaptations. Much like Alan Moore, Roald Dahl didn't really enjoy any except the animated BFG adaptations of his work. But when it comes to Willy Wonka, it feels a little like, what gives, bro? Wonka related to Grandpa Joe. This is a fan theory that I don't really get behind. It doesn't really have any basis. Knife Guy, the Tinkerer. In the 71 film, there's just this random guy who jump scares Charlie. He warns that no one comes in and no one comes out of Wonka's factory, and goes away. It's not completely a big-lipped alligator moment because Charlie does talk about him later to Grandpa Joe, and it technically sets up like no one's been to Wonka's factory in a while. But it is still very random. Next tier. James and the Giant Peach is another Roald Dahl story. In it, it's implied that James rolled past the factory. Miles City, Montana is the fictional home of Violet. And speaking about her face got blue again. Supposedly, the original actress, a few days after filming in school, her face turned blue again, due to the makeup used in the film. Marvin Prune and Miranda Mary Picker. The side photo, referring to Marvin, There's basically an entire class of kids that were cut from the original story, but these are only two I think are kind of noteworthy. With Marvin being this self-obsessed weirdo, and Miranda being this nerdy know-it-all. Oh, Wonka, why would we want sugar that makes us look sick so we can skip school? We should go to school, man. Grandpa Joe hate. Much like the baby in the first Ice Age film, there's a lot of Grandpa Joe hate, which I think is a bit of a meme because I don't really get the joke. Jet Clipper Climax is the name of the jet seen in the original 71 film, and it crashed. Next tier, Neil Patrick Harris. Not referring to this disturbingly similar looking Oompa Loompa, but to a riff tracks with Mike Nelson and Neil Patrick Harris comedically commentating over the film, and it is hilarious. BDSM gloves. The gloves that Johnny Depp wears in his film are apparently BDSM gloves, which is hilarious. George Weasley theory. This isn't an actual theory, it's just a meme. Referring to Wonka's split office, referring to how George Weasley never really recovered after the loss of Fred. And if you're wondering, the reality is the office is split because they wanted to continue Wonka's eccentricism by having the office split in half instead of just the joke being he has a comedically average-looking office. Lost Guru scene. In the 71 film, when they're looking for the golden ticket, there was meant to be a scene where a traveler finds a guru and he asks them the meaning of life. They open a Wonka bar, didn't get a golden ticket, so he says there is no meaning to life. The scene was cut because it was too sad. Michael Jackson lost album. When Michael Jackson heard that they were making the 2005 film, he made an entire album by himself and tried using it to pitch himself as Willy Wonka. The producers were interested in the album, but not with Jackson as Willy Wonka. He gave them the ultimatum of, if you want the album, then you need me. He was rejected, and the album is probably in a vault that will never see the light of day. Ironically, you can definitely see Michael Jackson was definitely an influence on Willy Wonka in this film. Johnny Depp has denied this, but it's pretty obvious. From the way they look, they dress, their social awkwardness, their weird relationship with their dads. I think it would have worked for a parody, not the actual Willy Wonka film. The kids should think Willy Wonka is kind of eccentric and cool, not weird and don't want to be around him. Snowpiercer theory. The side photo. Snowpiercer is an excellent Korean film starring Chris Evans. During a new ice age, all humanity is trapped on a train zipping across the planet. The people in the back are super poor, and the closer you get to the engine and the conductor, the more rich you are. Rhino Stew made a very interesting video connecting that there's a lot of probably unintentional, silly connections you can make to Willy Wonka. I highly recommend his original video and his response to it. Bottom tier. Willy Wonka beta tape, it's a creepypasta. Skilly Wonka boomerang. Supposedly Roald Dahl's brother had a boomerang named this, which inspired the name Willy Wonka. Martin Bormann. This is a very deep cut. It's the side photo. Martin Bormann was personal secretary to Adolf Hitler and the head of the Nazi Party. Why I bring this up is because his face is used as the guy who faked having a golden ticket before Charlie found it. And was said that he was in Uruguay because a bunch of Nazi individuals escaped to South America. Martin was not one of these individuals. It's kind of a funny in-joke, but I doubt anyone really got it the first time seeing this, even in the 70s. It's kind of like if this movie was made today and I showed a picture of Vivek Ramaswamy. It's like in 20 years, how many people are going to know who that evil guy is? But what do you guys think? You like this iceberg? I think I could have added something else. Did you learn anything? Let me know in the comments below, and when you're down there, hit that like button and subscribe if you're new.